But it seems to me, unless somebody can correct me, that this is a pretty clear change in policy. The 10 years that I've been here, when you get a fiscal note, it usually indicates whether or not there's a cost associated with it over and above current expenditures. I guess for this case, this time, and maybe there would be others, but we're going to have to assume that if the Labor Commissioner decides that this is of a high enough priority, these people will take on this responsibility. The fact that it says within available appropriations, I'm not sure how you wash that against the dollars that are in the fiscal note. But as I said, in the past, we've been able to look at the fiscal note and then ask the next question, once the budget's left this committee, and ask whether or not these dollars are in the budget. So not knowing what the answer to that question would be, given the explanation that was just given to me, are these dollars that are in the fiscal note within the budget that was been presented by the Department of Labor through you?
Mr. Clander?
These dollars are not in the budget.
Representative Minor?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So I guess my question to you, Madam Chairman, is, knowing that we have already voted a budget out of this committee and in 2 cases voted a budget out of each chamber, I believe it's now been signed by the governor, so it's law, what do you anticipate the changes in that budget to be in order to accommodate these and additional costs?
Thank you, sir. I believe that we did change some of the language in the bill. Excuse me, just one second. Oh, Senator Craig?
Thank you,
Madam Chairman?
Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, Madam Chairman. I appreciate the fact that you would like Senator Prague to comment on the labor part of the bill, but this is an appropriations question.
Correct.
And the bill, as I read it, on line 147 and 148 says within available appropriations, yet in the fiscal note there's a fiscal note, and the individual whose authority it is to oversee Office of Fiscal Analysis has indicated these dollars are not in the budget. My question to you is, what is going to come out of the budget to allow us to put these things in the budget? Now, maybe Senator Prague has the answer to that question, but
Senator Prague.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First of all, my fiscal note says potential minimal. And secondly, this bill is honestly a work in progress. We are working on an amendment to consolidate under the Federal Labor Bureau of Labor Statistics, the Federal Bureau of Labor Statistics. We're working on an amendment to tighten up some areas of the bill, which will probably take care of the fiscal note. This is truly a work in progress. There will be some parts of the bill that will be adjusted.
I guess I'm not really sure what our role is here on the Appropriations Committee if we're not sure about whether this is going to cost additional funds or whether it's not, whether it's within original appropriation or it's not. Certainly all the issues that have been raised here, whether they've been in favor of the language that's before us as it treats employees or employers or against, are all valid and all important. But our role here has to do with our costs, the state's costs, municipal costs. And if we can't look at the bill and the fiscal note at this day and age and reconcile the two and know here today, when we're going to vote on this bill, whether this truly is going to cost the state of Connecticut money that it doesn't have in its budget or it's not.
It says within available.
Where are we going?
appropriations.
It really does beg the question, how much of this is real and how much of it isn't real? And I'm not questioning the good people that work on these bills and the language. I know the intent. I know the intent of the Office of Fiscal Analysis. Their job is to try and provide a true and actual estimate based on information they get from the Department of Labor or any other agency as to what the cost would be associated with the bills that come before us. But now we're doing a two-step to try and get around a fiscal note, even when it says within available appropriations. So it says to me, based on what I read in the fiscal note, that someone in the Department of Labor says, time out. We can't do this work. We don't have enough people in this part of the agency to do this work. It's going to take additional people. And yet we're going to, I guess, vote to send this bill out of here because it's a work in progress. It seems to me that at some point during the course of putting together a $20 billion budget, give or take a couple $100 million, times two, somebody could have figured out whether we needed this money in there or didn't need the money in there. So I wondered if a good amendment would be, on line 147, to take out the sentence that says, the Labor Commissioners shall administer this section within available appropriations. So that would be my motion, Madam Chairman, is to remove the last sentence on line 147 and ending with a period on 148.
Could you repeat the amendment, sir?
Sure, Madam Chairman. The amendment is to remove the sentence beginning with the word "the" and ending with a period on line 148, sentence that says, the Labor Commissioner shall administer this section within available appropriations.
And it was seconded? Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. And the reason for that amendment is to clarify that this program that the state is about to embark on, first in the nation, which is important to many people, clearly by the fact that it's made it here. And I've had the benefit of sitting through a couple of public hearings now, so I understand why people feel it's important. That there's no question in anybody's mind that by removing that sentence, we're not going to restrict the fiscal note as it's been written. And if the state of Connecticut truly believes it needs to have the additional personnel, then let's just have at it.
Thank you, sir, for your amendment. I just first, before I allow Senator Prague to speak, I'd like to say, first of all, I oppose the amendment. One of the things that I understand your concern about the fact that it is not an exact amount of money and we do not have an exact number of people that we can account for in the bill. It is a policy, and as we all know, policy is a little bit more gray than actually counting up how many children we are going to educate or how many people we're going to house or feed. When we do any type of policy like this, we try to give a guesstimation of the impact and where it's going to be. And that's the benefit of doing budgets every year, because we can adjust if there is an increase in cost, if we are going to have to provide more people with those services, if there are going to be employers that are going to violate the law that we're going to set forth with this bill. I think that's part of the thing that happens with the appropriations, and it does make it a little bit more vague in that regard. But in this regard, like any change in policy, we step forward with an idea of what we think it is going to be and how it's going to be impacting. But in doing this, we have to do just a guesstimation on that. Representative Minor.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Just so my words are clear, Section 4 in the fiscal note is very specific on what the estimate is. I don't care whether it's $169,720 plus benefits. It's not whether the dollar amount is exact. The language here doesn't even say in the fiscal note or in the bill whether somebody's done anything wrong. It sets out a process by which someone could make a claim. Now, employees make claims, as do argument. If we didn't intend on the bill actually making people responsible and allowing the employee some venue to make a claim and then find out whether or not what they thought they were claiming had merit or didn't have merit. So that's the reason for my motion. It really isn't to try and short the game at all. It's really a matter of trying to make sure we have the people in place to do this. And we have time. Frankly, there's an implementer process that's going to come up after this. And if somebody wants to make the claim in the implementer that these people will be paid because there'll be reductions somewhere else, it gives us an opportunity to do that. But it'll be clear. Fiscal note stands on its own.
Senator Craig.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Your answer certainly satisfied me, and I just wanted to add that if Representative Minor wants to amend the bill when it comes to the floor, it would be a better time. This way, the bill amended here would be delayed almost 2 weeks. So I would ask Representative Minor if he wants to propose an amendment to do that when it hits the floor. This is, at this particular point, it would really, I think, endanger the bill, so I would ask committee members not to support it.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, first to the point of amending this when it gets to the floor. If this was my first dance, I might have fallen for that move. But this is a Senate bill. And
No, it isn't.
unless the rules
Oh,
have
yes, it
changed,
is.
I can't offer an amendment in the Senate.
He's right.
So I know by the time this bread gets down to the House, it's pretty well baked.
I'm sure Senator Kane would be glad to carry that for you.
Well, that may very well be, but I don't want to have to owe him anything that I... at least not yet. And aside from that, you know, I guess I would say this to both of you. I have the utmost respect for the committee process and the work that the legislature does and the work that the nonpartisan staff does. And it sounds to me like what's going on here is, I know what it says, and I know the agency really loves this bill, so I'm sure they'll figure it all out. But I didn't draft this language. Okay? This language is, as I understand it, a process between nonpartisan staff and an agency that I have no control over. Somebody investigates this on an impartial process, so I can't make the words say what I want them to say, and you can't make them say what you want them to say. We specifically hire people and put them in these positions with that in mind. And today it sounds to me like, well, I know that's what this says, and I know that's what the numbers say, but that's not what it means. I'm sure somehow between now and the magic of the day this gets taken up on the floor, something's going to change. And I'm not trying to catch anybody here. I'm trying to, keep a process that's kind of true to our word. And if our word is, we call the Department of Labor and they say they need these people, then by God, we ought to put them in there. Otherwise, all these people that have been talking about sneezing folks for the last month and a half, who are they going to go talk to? Who are they going to make their complaint to? Who's the employer going to go talk to when the time comes to say, look, I didn't do anything wrong. This guy's been out of work every Monday for 2 years for 2 hours. So it just doesn't make any sense to me that you would advocate opposing my amendment, A, because it's going to take 2 weeks. I'm sure this thing could be turned around here in no time, especially knowing the people that like this bill. B, session's not over in 2 weeks. It doesn't kill the bill. I think it's a month. And C, I'm just trying to clean up the language. We can go to the merits of the bill, on the floor of the House. But right here, the merits really are the fiscal note. And I don't know how else you would expect us to clear up the fiscal note if we don't take out, within available appropriations, or concede as a committee that the money's in the budget. And we've already been told it's not in the budget.